Tales from the Solid Pack. Number 6. The Love Between Two Wolves. Written by Nancander. Ever since Cyrus found his newfound pack, he couldn't have been happier. At that point, it had been a long time since he had been happy, and when he met the other pack members, he regained that happiness. He also has a pretty great relationship with all of them. Violet was of course his little sister, Blaze was his best friend, She was another great friend to him, Electress was like a sister to him, Dispel was his second in command, Stone and Lakewood were just themselves, and Lavender, he couldn't even begin to describe. At first he didn't think much of her. He thought that she was a nice wolf and she was pretty easy to get along with. But the more he was around her, the more he couldn't stop thinking of her. Whenever they would talk to each other, he immediately had butterflies in his stomach. Whenever she laughed, it was like music to his ears. And when she would compliment him on something, he would always blush underneath his fur that he hoped she didn't see. Before, Cyrus had no idea what these feelings were, until he finally put the pieces together. He had a crush on Lavender, one of his pack members. He didn't think it was possible, but it was. Ever since he finally figured it out, he never told her about it. And that was because he didn't know what her reaction would be. Would she accept it, or would she reject it? He just couldn't stop thinking about all the what-ifs. If he thinks about it any longer, he'll burst out of nervousness. If only I just had the courage to tell her my true feelings for her, Cyrus thought in his head. Cyrus? Hello, Earth to Cyrus. A familiar voice tried to get his attention. Cyrus finally snapped out of his train of thoughts and gave a yell of shock. He turned to his side and saw that it was Blaze that was trying to get his attention. Blaze? How long have you been standing there for? Cyrus asked, trying to catch his breath. About 3 minutes. I came by to ask you if you wanted to go flying with me, and you didn't respond. I kept trying to talk to you, and you still didn't respond. Are you feeling all right? Cyrus sighed. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sorry, Blaze. I've just been doing a lot of thinking, he said. Blaze gave Cyrus a knowing look. Let me guess. It's about Lavender, isn't it? Cyrus looked at Blaze in shock. He didn't know that he, of all wolves, would know about his crush. But, Cyrus, come on. It's pretty obvious at this point, Blaze said, giving an unamused look. Cyrus kept looking at his best friend in shock, before finally giving in and sighed in defeat. How long? Honestly, I've noticed it not too long after you and Violet came along. I mean, the way you would look at her, and how much time you spend with her. I mean, I can't really blame you. She's sweet, gentle, and never gets angry. I just don't understand why you don't just go up and tell her. I'm sure she'll accept. That's what I'm afraid of. I don't know if she feels the same way about me, and that she'll say no on the spot. I might screw it up somehow and... Cyrus's face was in his paws. He wanted to tell Lavender his feelings so badly, but he didn't know how. Blaze put his paw on Cyrus's shoulder. Hey, it's okay, man. I may not be an expert on romance, but I do have an idea on how you can tell Lavender your feelings. Why don't you ask her if she wants to spend the evening with you? Cyrus looked at Blaze. Doesn't that technically count as a date? Well, maybe, Blaze said. But what I'm saying is, maybe if the two of you spend a little bit more time together, then maybe you'll have the courage to tell her your true feelings for her. It's worth a shot, isn't it? Cyrus thought about it for a minute, and he had to admit that it didn't seem like a bad idea at all. He really appreciates Blaze wanting to help him out with this, even though he doesn't know the first thing about romance. If he wanted to tell Lavender his true feelings for her, then he's going to need all the help he can get. You're right, Blaze. All right, I'll do it. Blaze smiled. Great. Now all you have to do is find Lavender and ask her if she wants to spend the evening with you. Very simple. Cyrus gave a little bit of a nervous look. Yeah, simple. Relax, Cyrus, you'll be fine. It's just Lavender. She'll never hurt a fly, Blaze reassured. Cyrus took a deep breath to calm himself. You're right. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate you helping me out with this. He smiled at his best friend. Blaze smiled back at Cyrus. Anytime, man, and good luck. Cyrus nodded and walked off to find Lavender. Sure enough, he found her lying down, taking in some shade underneath a tree. Cyrus felt the butterflies stir up again, but then he remembered Blaze's words of encouragement. Just be himself. Okay, Cyrus, you can do this. Just ask her if she wants to spend the evening with you. Simple as that. Oh, but what if she says no for some reason? No, don't think like that. Think positive. Okay, here goes nothing, Cyrus thought in his head as he walked up to Lavender. She didn't notice him at first, but when he got close enough to her, she looked up and saw the blue wolf standing before her. Oh, hey Cyrus, Lavender greeted him. Nice weather we're having today. Yeah, Cyrus replied back. He then mentally cursed himself inside his head for sounding so dumb. Hey, Lavender, there's something that I wanted to ask you. Oh, alright then. What is it? Lavender asked. Well, it's okay if you say no, but, I was wondering if you wanted to, spend the evening with me? Cyrus clearly struggled with asking her that question. He wanted to bang his head against a tree because he was so mad at himself. Great job, Cyrus. You blew it all up, he cursed to himself. Lavender, however, giggled to herself. That's what you were nervous about asking me? Oh, Cyrus. But yeah, sure. I love to spend the evening with you. She smiled at him. Cyrus was beaming with excitement. Really? Oh, great. That sounds great. He then decided to calm himself down. How about we start to leave when the sun starts to go down? That sound good to you? He asked. Lavender nodded. Sure, that sounds great to me, Cyrus. Great. I'll see you later then, Cyrus said before he walked away from Lavender, far enough to where he was beaming from ear to ear. He couldn't believe it. He actually thought that she would say no to their date, due to him being so nervous. But she said yes. He may not be one step closer to telling her his true feelings for her just yet, but he was able to ask her out on a date. It was a step in the right direction. What? She said yes! Cyrus started jumping around in excitement. She said yes! She said yes! She said yes! She said yes! He couldn't wait for tonight. Later that day, the sun was starting to go down, and Cyrus and Lavender were both getting ready to meet each other to go out on their date. Since Lavender was now Violet's main babysitter and couldn't watch her for the night, Dispel decided to watch over the young pup for Cyrus, to which he was ever so grateful for. Cyrus was extremely nervous, mainly because this might be the night where he would finally tell Lavender how he feels about her. But he kept thinking back on Blaze's words of encouragement. He knew he could do this. He just needed to think positive. Meanwhile, Lavender was waiting outside the cave for Cyrus. Dispel was by her side waiting with her before she could look after Violet. Feeling nervous, sis? Dispel asked her younger sister. A little bit, Lavender replied. I really want to tell Cyrus, but I just don't know when the right time would be. Should it be during the date or after the date? Dispel gave her a reassuring rub on the shoulder. Only you can know that. And don't you worry about a thing, Lavi. As long as you're happy, then that's all that matters to me." Lavender smiled at her older sister and gave her a hug. "Thank you, sis. I don't know what I'd do without you." Just then, they heard the sound of paws coming towards them. They both looked up to see Cyrus standing before them. "Hey girls, you ready, Lavender?" Cyrus asked. Lavender smiled and nodded. "Yeah, I am," she said before walking up to him. "Oh, and thanks again for watching over Violet to spell," Cyrus told his second in command. "No problem, Cyrus. We don't want another big episode to happen like last time," she joked. The three of them laughed as they knew what she was talking about. "Well, anyway, I hope the two of you have fun and be safe," she said. "We will. See you later, sis," Lavender said before she and Cyrus walked off to start their night out together. Dispel waved at them. "Bye, sis." She then turned to walk inside the cave. She had a deep feeling that tonight was going to be a great night for her sister and her alpha. Cyrus and Lavender were both walking side by side together as the sky began to get dark. They had taken late night walks together in the past, especially after Cyrus and Violet moved in with them. But this time there was something different about it. Cyrus couldn't put his paw around it, but tonight just felt different for the two of them. He had a feeling the reason why was because this was technically their first date together. Cyrus tried to shake that feeling out of him, but it just wouldn't go away. He cleared his throat and tried to start up a conversation. "Nice night, isn't it?" he asked. "Yeah, it is," Lavender replied. "Though the night sky is always beautiful." "I know, but there's something different about it," Cyrus said, looking up at the sky. "Oh, really? How so?" "To be honest with you, I have no idea." Lavender chuckled at that, and Cyrus blushed in embarrassment. Lavender noticed this and gave him a reassuring smile. "Oh, it's okay, Cyrus. I thought that the night sky looked different too for a bit, but I can't seem to figure it out either. But it's all right. It's probably just our imagination." Cyrus smiled back at her. "Yeah, you're probably right." As they continued walking, Lavender noticed a bunch of purple crocus flowers on the ground before them. Cyrus noticed that almost every time they walked in this area, there were always such beautiful flowers to look at. Roses, sunflowers, daisies, any flower you could think of. Lavender loves flowers. They had been her favorite since she was a pup. She bent down and smelled the purple crocus flowers and sighed happily as they were her favorite flowers. "I love flowers. They always make me feel relaxed," she told Cyrus. Cyrus looked at the crocus flowers and smiled as he got an idea. He bent down and carefully grabbed one of them with his teeth. He pulled it out of its stem and walked over to Lavender with the flower in his teeth. He took the flower in his paw and placed it behind Lavender's right ear. Lavender looked back at Cyrus as he smiled at her. "Do you like it?" Cyrus asked. Lavender blushed a bit before securing the flower with her paw. "Yeah, I do. Thank you, Cyrus. But what's the occasion?" Cyrus rubbed the back of his neck with his paw before answering. "Oh, no occasion really. I just know how much you love flowers." Lavender smiled. "How does it look?" Cyrus looked at her longingly. "It looks beautiful on you. But to be honest, you always look beautiful." Cyrus didn't realize what he just said and blushed in embarrassment. Lavender blushed as well from the compliment that Cyrus gave to her. I'm so sorry, Lavender. I don't know what came over me. It's okay, Cyrus. That was very thoughtful of you to say." "Thank you," Lavender said reassuringly, still blushing for what Cyrus just said about her. Cyrus sighed in relief. "Well, you're welcome," he said, smiling. Lavender then looked up at the night sky and got an idea. "Hey, how about we fly for a bit? I haven't flown that much during the night before, so it wouldn't hurt to experience it, right? That is, if you want to. Cyrus gave her a look of sincerity. I would love to, he said. Lavender felt her cheeks heat up again as she and Cyrus spread out their wings and flew into the night sky. The air was cool and it wasn't even windy. It was perfect. It was like the weather knew that Cyrus wanted this night to go perfectly, so it answered his prayers. Lavender couldn't believe how beautiful the night sky looked during the night. It was so calm and relaxing. Even the lake was shimmering down from where they were. It was absolutely perfect. Wow, Cyrus, can you believe how beautiful everything looks at night? Lavender asked. Yeah, it's definitely amazing. If only it was like this every night, he said. He looked back at Lavender and saw how happy she looked. It made his heart soar just like they were. Seeing his crush happy made Cyrus happy. He hoped that this night would never end. They both flew in the air longer than they thought they would. The two of them just enjoyed themselves so much flying together that they didn't want to stop. They saw some birds, some owls, and some puffy clouds that they flew right through, making a hole in them. They couldn't help but laugh when they did that. Eventually their wings started to get tired, so they both landed right next to the lake. That was a lot of fun, Cyrus. You looked like you were enjoying that as well, Lavender said happily. Cyrus laughed. You bet I was. I can't even remember the last time I had so much fun. And he especially loved doing it with the wolf he really loves. You know, it always really makes me happy to see you having fun and enjoying yourself. Since you're alpha, you always have to make sure that we're all safe and happy, and that takes a lot of responsibility. So it always makes me smile when I see this side of you, Lavender said with sincerity in her voice. Cyrus smiled at her, really touched by her words. Aw, thanks, Lavender. He then gave a smirk. But are you saying that I don't know how to have fun? Lavender laughed. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. You know what I'm talking about, she said, continuing to laugh. Cyrus laughed with her. Yeah, right, he said, giving her a friendly push. But what he didn't know was that Lavender was a little too close to the lake when he pushed her, so she fell over and splashed into the water. Cyrus looked in shock at what he just did. Thankfully, the lake wasn't deep and Lavender resurfaced easily, but Cyrus was completely mortified by what he just did. Oh my gosh, Lavender, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Honest. Are you alright? He asked frantically. Lavender chuckled a bit. I'm okay, Cyrus. It's not your fault. I should have known that I was too close to the lake. But I'm still responsible for what just happened, Cyrus said in shame. Lavender gave him a reassuring smile. Cyrus, it's okay. I'm not mad at all. It was just an accident. Besides, falling in water is better than falling in hot lava, she joked. That made Cyrus laugh and he started to feel better. Yeah, that's true. You sure you're all right, though? Lavender just smiled at him. I'm fine, she said. Cyrus smiled back. Well, good, he said. He then got an idea. He backed up a bit and was out of Lavender's view. This confused her a bit as she didn't know what he was doing. Then she heard the sound of running as Cyrus jumped and splashed into the lake. He resurfaced as he grinned at her. Lavender just burst into laughter and splashed at him, to which he did back. The two of them splashed each other in the water for a little while, until they both got out and shook the water off of them. After that, the two wolves laid down on the grass. They were still a little wet, but not as much as before. The cool air felt nice and calm. Cyrus was having the time of his life with his crush. He never wanted this to end, but he had a feeling that it won't end just yet. He still had one more thing to do, and it made him nervous. Cyrus, Lavender said. He looked at her. I had such a great time with you tonight. Hopefully we can do this again soon. she said, giving him a warm smile. Cyrus smiled back at her. I think we will do this again soon. Hopefully, that is, he thought to himself. So, should we head back to the cave? It's getting pretty late, she asked. Not quite yet, he said. Now he felt it was the right time. Lavender, there's something I want to tell you. He tried to stay calm, but the nervous tone in his voice gave it away. Lavender seemed to notice this and looked at him in concern. Is everything all right? She asked. Cyrus took some deep breaths to calm himself. Yeah, it's nothing bad at all, I swear. But I just feel like you should know this, he said. He felt like he was going to faint out of nervousness, but he knew that he could do this. He looked at Lavender directly in the eyes and took another deep breath. Okay, here goes nothing. Lavender, ever since the attack happened in Arctic Stone, and me and Violet were left on our own, I didn't know if I would ever find happiness again. I mean, I lost everything that day. The only thing I didn't lose was my little sister, which I was very thankful for. But I had no one to go to. I mean, I wanted to be strong for Violet, but there was only so much of it I could do until I finally broke. Lavender looked at him in sympathy. But then, something truly amazing happened. I found you guys. You all welcomed us into your group with open arms, and we were total strangers. But none of you cared about that. You all treated me and Violet with nothing but kindness and love, which was something I haven't felt in a long time. And ever since then, I found my happiness again. Lavender gave Cyrus a big smile, and Cyrus continued. And all of you mean so much to me. You are all my friends and my family. I know that Violet feels the exact same way. However, there is one wolf in this pack that at first, I just saw as a normal friend to me. But eventually, I felt something more about her. Every time I was near her, I felt happy. Every time we spoke to each other, her voice would always soothe my ears. And whenever we spent time together, I would never want it to end. And that wolf is you, Lavender. Lavender felt everything in her body stop. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Lavender, when my parents were still here, I would always see how much they loved each other. And some other wolves in my old pack had lovers as well. And I always wondered if one day I would find that special someone. Someone I could spend the rest of my life with. Someone I could be happy with. And I can honestly say that I'm happy being with you, Lavender. Well, what I'm trying to say is... Cyrus took a deep breath. It was now or never. I love you, Lavender. I love you so much. Cyrus finally finished. He felt good that he finally said it and admitted his feelings towards her. But now what? He looked back at Lavender and saw that she was in shock. Was that a good sign or a bad sign? He wasn't sure. He looked at her for a few more seconds before he closed his eyes and sighed. I'm sorry. He stopped speaking when he felt a paw underneath his chin. He opened his eyes and saw Lavender looking at him with tear-filled eyes and smiling tenderly at him. Cyrus, I feel happy when I'm around you too. To be honest, I've had feelings for you as well. I mean, before you came along, I wasn't sure if I would find my special someone. But then, I met you, and I would always love it whenever we were together. Our late night walks, the conversations we had together, and how great of a leader you are to the pack. You are kind, caring, a great brother to Violet, and just a nice guy in general. I love you too, Cyrus. I'm so happy to finally say that to you. Cyrus felt like he was gonna cry, but not in a sad way, in a happy way. Hope was starting to build up inside him. So, does that mean... Yes, Cyrus. I want to be your special someone, Lavender told him, pouring her heart into every word. Cyrus beamed happily and hugged Lavender tightly, to which Lavender happily returned. He couldn't believe it. He finally confessed his feelings to the wolf he loves, and she accepted them. They broke away from the hug, and Lavender gave him a kiss on his cheek. Cyrus blushed and gave her a tender, loving smile. They both looked at the moon shining bright in the sky, and then at each other. You know, I think I know why the night looked so beautiful. It's because tonight was going to be the night where we would finally tell each other how we felt, Lavender said quietly. You know what? I think you're right. Wait until we tell the others. Violet is going to be over the moon about this, Cyrus joked. Lavender chuckled. Oh, I'm sure. Dispel is going to give me the biggest hug ever. Oh, tomorrow's going to be fun. Cyrus nodded. Yeah, she and Electress might even start talking about our wedding, he joked. Lavender burst into laughter at the thought of that. Well, they should already know that we're still too young to get married. But, knowing them, it wouldn't surprise me. Cyrus chuckled again and wrapped his wing around Lavender. I can't believe it actually happened. I found the wolf of my dreams. I hope this never ends. Lavender smiled at Cyrus as she leaned into his shoulder. Well, it doesn't have to, because we'll always be together. And as long as I'm with you, I don't have anything to worry about. Cyrus smiled back at Lavender. I can say the same thing. I love you, Lavender. I love you too, Cyrus. Lavender snuggled up against Cyrus. She couldn't be any happier than she is now. Cyrus felt the same way. He didn't think that this day would ever come, and now it finally has. He didn't know what the future had in store for the two of them, but he wasn't worried. Right now, he just wanted to enjoy this very moment with his new lover, and he knew that Lavender felt the exact same way. Cyrus knew one thing for sure. He was the luckiest wolf in the whole world. The end.